Welcome, välkomna, добро пожаловать. My name is Samantha Rogers. Today is Friday. Let's say Saturday. Today is Friday, and it's another True Crime Stories with Sal. I hope everyone has been doing good, having a good week, and about to be weekend. I took break last Friday because due to my birthday, celebrating my birthday that weekend, which is very fun, relaxing, and very enjoyable. Went to Big Sur in California, going up to San Francisco. Very beautiful place. Oh, the scenery is amazing. Highly recommend to go if you haven't been. And I would say take the longer route, the PCH. It's a little bit longer drive, but the beautiful views and just the scenery is to die for. And I also reached 1,000 subscribers, woo, on my channel, which is amazing. Growing slowly but surely. I appreciate you guys again. Always, always, always appreciate you to take your 40, 30, 1 hour 20-minute break from life and listen to my stories. I so appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Today's video is our fourth video of the month, and that means I'm going to talk about an unsolved case. And as usual, a little disclaimer. I mean, by this point, you guys already know I'm going to talk about murder and all the gruesomeness that has to do with murder. But I will be discussing a brutal murder where 3 innocent people got murdered, stabbed, and I will be showing crime scene photos that contains images of blood or what have you. So if this is something that you don't want to look at today or listen to today, totally understand. Take care of yourself. That's the most important thing. And I hope I see you in my next video. So without any further ado, my darlings, let's get into today's case. So today's case takes place in 1981 in a small town called Keddie. And Keddie is in California, going north. I'm going to put a map here. Actually, Google mapped it from LA to Keddie. Takes about 8 to 10 hour drive, depending on how fast or slow you drive. And the place itself is very beautiful. It's very foresty, a lot of greenery. They have lakes. They have like just a beautiful nature, and it's not a lot of people that live there. It's very rural. So a great place to just get away from the, busy, if you live in a big city like LA, great place to probably just go and camp and hike and just get away from the stressful big city. And we're going to discuss the Sharp family, the mother Sue and her 5 children. So a little bit of a background. Before the Sharp family moved to Keddie, they lived in Connecticut. And unfortunately, the father in the family, Sue's husband, was a very abusive husband, both physically and mentally abusive. And regardless, I mean, she had 5 children with this man, so she put up a lot with this man. But it was not towards the end when she found out that he was actually sexually molesting his 2 daughters, that Sue finally had enough, and she divorced him. She left him, and she moved from Connecticut with her 5 children to Keddie, California. And the reason why she moved to Keddie was because her brother lived close by there, and she basically felt like, especially now that she doesn't work, she doesn't have a lot of money, it's a good time to live close with family, just in case they need help or what have you. And that's exactly what they did. They were pretty poor, and so the first few months they actually stayed at a trailer that her brother had, a spare trailer. So 5, 6 people with Sue in a cramped trailer. It was not the best living conditions. But then later on, the cabins that was originally for tourists, like basically like you can rent a cabin where you stay there if you don't want to camp, and then just live in a cabin while you go explore the forest and go hike. The tourism died down, so the people decided to turn into the cabins into low house income cabins. As soon as Sue heard about this new opportunity that the cabins now are for low income families, she jumped on this opportunity and she started renting a cabin number 28 where her and her 5 children would stay or live at. The Sharp family lived at the cabin for, I would say, about a year, a little bit less than a year. The kids established some friends that also lived around in the neighboring cabins and what have you. And life seemed pretty, pretty good for the Sharp family. On April 11th, 1981, was a pretty normal day for the Sharp family. The kids, the older daughter and the oldest son, so the kids' age was between 5 and 15. And the oldest children, the daughter and the son, were with their friends. The son, he had his friend Dana come and visit him. And then during the day, they decided to go to town and, kind of like hang out with their other friends. And then there was also like a house party going on that the boys wanted to attend. So yeah, Sue basically allowed her son and his friend to go there, and then she just said that but be careful, try not to hitchhike back, just like if you can just walk back home or what have you. And then the oldest daughter, she was at cabin 27 where her friend lived with her family, and she actually brought her younger sister with her. And during the evening, around 9 p.m. ish, she decided to stay over at her friend's house. So the older daughter decided to stay over at her friend's house, but she ordered her younger sister, to go back home to cabin 28. And again, 28 and 27 were pretty close to each other, so it's not like far away. So she just said, you go home and I'll be home in the morning. And that's what she did. So the younger sister went back home and the older sister stayed at her friend's house, so she slept over. The next morning on April 12th, the older sister woke up at her friend's house and she decided to, pack her stuff and get back home to her cabin, which was cabin 28. And around 7-ish, 7:30-ish, she left her friend's house and start walking back to her cabin. And upon coming closer to the cabin, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Like the lights were still off, the blinds were down, so she figured everyone was still asleep or what have you. But as soon as she opened the door to her cabin, she met with this putrid smell. And upon walking in closer, she just saw a bunch of blood. It was just literally blood everywhere, on the floor, on the ceilings, all around. And she started noticing bodies. At first, she couldn't really tell who was what or how many bodies there were. She just saw a bunch of blood and just a bunch of bodies laying around the floor in the living room. And she just freaked out and she ran out of her cabin and started screaming, "Where's my mom? Where's my brother?" The neighbors heard her scream and they quickly run outside to see what's going on. And as she explained that basically it's blood everywhere, she doesn't know what's going on, they ordered her to come into their house while they would call the police. And also the neighbor ordered her oldest son to go back to the cabin 28 to check out to see what was going on, which is, again, the biggest mistake ever. First of all, I don't know how old, but I'm assuming he's still like a teenager or kid. Why would you want to send your son to see a gruesome crime scene? And also, he possibly can contaminate it. Like the more people step inside, and the more contamination. But anyway, he walked first around the cabin, which was very smart because you never know, the perpetrator or perpetrators could still be close by. And upon looking into the windows, he could see bodies laying on the floor in the living room. And he also went and checked the bedroom window, and there he saw three boys laying, still sleeping. And he kind of opened the window, climbed inside, and woke up the boys. And the three boys were Sue's youngest children and a friend that they invited to sleep over. So he woke up the boys. They all climbed out of the window. He didn't want to take them inside to see what's going, to see all of that blood. So they climbed out of the window and they were safe. He took them to his house. When the police arrived, they called Sue Sharp's brother to come down quickly and identify the bodies, to see if this is really his sister and nephew or what have you. And upon arriving, Sue's brother, he walked into the cabin, and it took him a while to be able to talk. He was just shocked and horrified of what he basically is looking at. But then he identified Sue Sharp, that's his sister. He identified his nephew and nephew's friend. And I'm going to insert the crime scene two photos. So first one here, as you guys can see, it's a lot of blood. I am assuming that this photo is particularly of where the friend of Sue's son was laying. He was laying face down in that pillow, and he was found with his head bashed in with a hammer. And then the next photo, I'm assuming this is where Sue's body was found, and all three victims were basically bound. Their wrists and hands were bound so they couldn't run away. All three victims were brutally stabbed and had their throat cut. Sue was found naked from the waist down, but they couldn't determine if she was raped or not. We can just assume. And all three victims also were hit with the hammer on their heads and faces or what have you. And during all of this commotion or this discovery, they soon discovered that the fourth child, so Sue's youngest daughter, remember her, that she was with her older sister, and then her older sister ordered her to go back home around 8 p.m. She was missing. And when they walked into her room, they found, they found some blood stains on her bed sheets, but that's pretty much it, nothing else. And she was basically gone. They couldn't find her. She was not around inside the cabin or outside. The police also discovered two possible murder weapons. I'm going to insert the photo here. As you guys can see, it's a steak knife and a hammer, and police assuming that this is the knife and the hammer that were used in this vicious, brutal overkill crime. The police quickly start interviewing people, and they started with the people at the party that the two boys, Sue Sharp's oldest son and his friend, that was the victims of this crime. They were at this party in the closest town previous. And the witnesses that saw them last time was that they were standing outside, standing on the road, basically looking for someone to hitchhike back home with. And that's pretty much all that the witnesses at the party could say. They didn't see any suspicious people around them. They didn't end up in any fights or what have you at the party. So basically, they were just last seen on the road, try to hitchhike back home. Since it's a small town, and you can just imagine, like, everyone knows everyone, rumors quickly start to spread that this might have been a drug deal gone wrong, or also rumors were spreading about Sue, that she, just because she's a single mother, she was kind of like a loose, she was meeting a bunch of men, she were maybe working as a sex worker or a drug dealer. But those rumors were quickly shut down because police couldn't find any drugs or any drugs in the bodies of the victims in their systems. And Sue's oldest daughter, she, vouched for her mom that her mom never left the house late at night or never invited any strange men to her house, to the cabin, to possibly perform some sex work or what have you. So those rumors were quickly shut down. So the police turned their investigation to the three boys that were sleeping in the bedroom next to the crime scene and basically didn't hear anything. The police thought it was very strange because this kill was definitely not quiet. I mean, this amount of blood, this amount of force to murder someone. They even actually found stab on the wall. So basically, the perpetrator, was stabbing the wall with the knife out of anger, I'm assuming. So yeah, definitely not a quiet kill, and how these three boys could just sleep through all of it. And same goes for the neighboring cabins. Like, police interviewed the neighboring cabins, and one witness said that they saw like a strange dark green van pulling up and then leaving. Another cabin heard some like muffled screams around 1 a.m. But they couldn't really figure out where the screams were coming from, so they went back to sleep. But that's pretty much it. So no one ever heard or seen anything suspicious. A few weeks into the investigation, one of the boys, his name is Justin. He was the one that was sleeping at this cabin. So he was the friend of Sue Sharp's boys, the youngest boys. So he started recalling that he had a very vivid dream that night. He couldn't really tell if it was a dream or if it was real. So the police decided to take this boy to a hypnotherapist, so perform like hypnosis on him and see if they can get any more information out of Justin that way. So while under hypnosis, Justin, he can recall that he saw two men, and he described one tall man around 6'1", 6'2", and the other a little bit shorter, around 5'8", 5'11". And here I'm going to insert the sketch of these two perpetrators according to Justin. And both of them were wearing glasses, and he can recall that he remembered them arguing with Sue Sharp. And in the midst of the argument, the two other boys, so Sue's oldest son and his friend Dana, came back home at the same time that they were arguing, and they basically started to defend the mother, Sue Sharp, and a vicious fight broke out, and the two men stabbed Sue in the chest, and they stabbed the other boys. And according to Justin, under his hypnosis, all of the details that he could describe was very, very accurate to the details of the murder. And according to Martin's wife, the fateful night of April 11th, she said that her and her husband and Bo, her husband's roommate or his friend, were all out bar hopping, or they were at this bar because her son Justin was sleeping over at Sue's cabin. So she was child free that night. So they went all three of them went to a bar. And according to this woman, she felt like a little bit tired, so she told her husband, Martin, that I think I'm going to go back home to the cabin. So Martin, his wife, and the friend all three of them went back to the cabin, and Martin's wife went to bed. And according to Martin's wife, she woke up around 3 or 2:30, 3 a.m., and at this time, she sees Martin and Bo burning something over the stove, like a fireplace. They had a fireplace like stove. They used it as a stove too. So they were burning something, and the clothes that they were wearing were different clothes from when they were wearing at the bar. So they had changed clothes, and now they were burning something on the stove, on the fireplace. And also, according to this woman, so Martin's wife, she found later, few days later, she found a bloody jacket, like a kid's jacket, down in the basement, bloody jacket that she thinks belongs to one of the victims. So Sue's youngest daughter that is still missing. Remember the girl that they never found? They know that she was at home, but they just found blood in her bedroom, and now she's still missing. So she took this jacket to the police, told them, like, I think this is the jacket that belongs to one of the Sharp girls, and what have you. But according to the police record, they have no record of the jacket. They have no record of the woman coming in and delivering the jacket or what have you. So we don't know if, Martin's wife just made it all up, or police just covered that up. The new detectives that is handling this case can look back now and see that the police back then did a very, very sloppy job. First of all, they didn't conceal or closed off the cabin. They let a bunch of people come in and out and what have you. So a lot of people contaminated the evidence. If the jacket situation was true and that Martin's wife found the jacket, it was no record of it whatsoever. So a lot of people think that the police has something to do with it or cover up. They also found out that Martin was actually a very close friend with the sheriff at that department at that time. So people speculate that all the evidence against Martin was basically, just thrown away or concealed or hidden or what have you, because those two were friends. And if that is not suspicious enough, both Martin and Bo, as soon as the finger would start pointing at them, they just up and left, and Martin actually moved to Reno, Nevada. 3 years after the gruesome murders in 1984, a man was walking in this like foresty area, and he was kind of like collected plastic cans and what have you, and he stepped on something. And when he looked down to what he actually stepped on, he saw that he stepped on a human skull, and he immediately called the police, went back home, called the police. The police arrived, and they found the remains of Sue Sharp's youngest daughter, the girl that was missing for 3 years now. They finally found her remains, and they concluded that the night that of that gruesome murder, she basically was abducted by the perpetrators, and she was killed in that foresty field area. One thing that I also forgot to mention, during the hypnosis with Justin, with the boy that was friend of Sue Sharp's youngest kids that was sleeping over that night. So according to during his hypnosis, he also said that during this fight, he saw that the youngest daughter, Sue's youngest daughter, came out of her room in the middle of the commotion. So she tried to probably see what was going on, what the noise was made. And the perpetrators saw her. They pushed her back in the room. And then later, Justin could recall he see the perpetrator take the girl in the back, through the back door, and she was never seen again. So this case was practically at a standstill for years, and not until 2013, 2 new detectives took over this case, and they have a very actually close tie to the victims. I believe one of the detectives, he actually went to school with the boys that were killed, like the same age, and the other detective knew the Sharp family. And so yeah, they took over this case in 2013, and in 2016, they found a letter that Martin wrote to his then wife, so now his ex-wife, and I'm going to insert the letter, pieces of the letter here. So basically, it's a very crucial piece that is highlighted here that you can pause the video and read it for yourself, but he's basically telling her that he killed for people because of her, prove his love for her. So this, I mean, if this is not very damning evidence that he did it, I don't know what. And also, the police feels like this could actually been a triangle drama. So maybe Martin and Sue Sharp had a secret relationship on the side, and Martin's wife found out about it. And unfortunately, due to his infidelity, Sue and her son and the son's friend and Sue's daughter were murdered. And police also feel like the murder was directed towards Sue. So Sue was the initial target, but the boys just was like collateral damage because they walked in on the situation. Same thing with Sue's daughter. She walked out of her room to see what was going on, what was the commotion about. So all of them were just killed because they didn't want to leave any witnesses. And the reason why they left the three young boys in the room is because they were asleep, and one of the boys were Martin's stepson, so he probably didn't want to kill his own stepson. That's just a theory, what police thinks, and that's one of the theories that police feel like that could possibly be it. Another lead that the police, so the letter is not just enough, but another lead that the police found out, so when Martin moved to Reno, he went to therapy. So, and according to Martin's ex-therapist, he confessed to him. So he confessed to kill Sue and the children. And according to the therapist, he actually went to the police with these allegations, with this news, and but according to the therapist, no leads or anything were looked into as far as the therapist knows. So basically, police didn't take his claims to be real, I guess. And one thing that I forgot to mention, when they found the letter, according to Martin's wife, she's still alive, and according to the wife, she can't recall Martin writing that letter to her, but she can confirm that the handwriting on the letter was Martin's. Unfortunately, though, Martin and his friend Bo actually both has long gone passed away. Bo passed away in 1988, and Martin died of cancer in 2000. So, yeah, if they are the perpetrators, they are long gone. So unfortunately, they were not, be facing trial or what have you. But the latest news that the police have come up with, it's in 2018. So the latest, they actually found other evidence from the crime scene that belong to 6 different suspects that they have in mind that are still alive. So it's very, very possible that this case can be solved. Personally, I believe it was Martin and Bo. A lot of damning evidence point to them. But again, you never know. It could be more than just them two. If it was an affair between Martin and Sue Sharp, maybe Martin's ex-wife has something to do with it. Maybe she even, allegedly said, either her or me or what have you, and he took it as, okay, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to kill Sue for you, just for you to prove that I love you. Maybe that was the reason for the letter. Again, speculation on my part. We don't know. But yeah, so I hope that this case gets solved soon. And as far as the children, so the oldest daughter that found out, that came home and discovered this gruesome scene of her mother and her brother brutally murdered, she's still alive, and she's very hopeful that the new detectives on this case can solve this case pretty quickly. And she and her remaining two brothers, yeah, are hopeful, and they basically, want justice for their family, which is totally understandable. So that's pretty much it for this unsolved case, you guys. So let me know what you guys think. Have you heard of this case? I heard of this case a few years or a year ago, and I thought it was so very interesting and like, yeah, and how this is still not solved. That's like puzzling to me. With so much evidence already, I mean, I feel like it should have been solved long time ago. But again, you know, we don't know. But yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think the police has something to do with it? Could that be those six possible suspects that the new detectives have something? Back the police force back then, maybe they try to cover it up or what have you. Do you think Martin or Bo did it? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to hear what you guys think. And just a sweet reminder, if you leave comments, remember always stay safe as well, but stay positive on the comments. You never know who's reading or listening to the story. So be mindful and respectful in the comments below. If you have any future cases, solved or unsolved, or mysterious cases, I'm all ears. Leave comments below. Let me know. And again, thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we're getting close to the goal. Is of course 100,000, but a girl could only dream. So I am positive we're gonna reach that goal. And for now, thank you so much for watching. You guys stay safe, stay positive, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones. Don't forget like, subscribe, and share on your way out. And I see you guys next Friday. Ciao, cacao.